Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grace Students Podcast. My name is Scott, and I am here with my good friend Bryan. And honestly, we thought that we would talk today a little bit about extending some grace with the holiday season coming up, especially Black Friday coming up here in just a few days. We thought that it'd be good to kind of prep yourself for how maybe we can view some of these situations a little bit more gracefully.
Nobody experiences tension around the holidays.
Absolutely not.
Everybody loves their family.
Yes. And like traditions that they were cool when you were 6. Now you're 30. And it's like, I'm not 30. No, I'm not 30 yet.
Almost. Making me feel old.
I know. That was the whole purpose of that comment.
Oh, great. All right. So you're not extending much grace there.
Not at all.
All right. So that's an example of what not to do around the holidays.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit, especially as students who oftentimes get, you have to be part of your family get-togethers and gatherings because that's what it means to be in your family. And oftentimes you don't even get a choice as to whether you get to go to those or not. And so we want to talk a little bit about how you can respond in those moments, and maybe even in some cases you get angry with your parents because you have to go to Aunt Betsy's house. I don't know why it's always Aunt Betsy, but
I don't know.
Poor Aunt Betsy.
I know. There's probably a lot of really good Aunt Betsy's out there.
I don't have an Aunt Betsy for the record,
but
so maybe that's why I use that. But and so maybe you can even find yourself not looking forward to the holidays because of that. What's your thoughts on that, Scott? What family dynamics are such a tough thing.
They are. In my family is like other families. We as my siblings and I get older, our traditions are starting to change, and so we're still trying to figure out, what do we want to hold on to. And now that we some of my siblings now have kids, it's like, okay, well, and some of my siblings don't have kids. And so it's like there's some tension. It's like your kids are annoying. And it's like, wait till you have kids.
Yeah.
It's like kind of that attitude. Exactly. And so that always brings some tension, because you're bringing in people who are going through a ton of different experiences. You're cramming them into a house. And in tradition tells us that we have to put on this happy face and just grit our teeth and be nice to everyone. Yeah. And I think the reason why there's a lot of times where you just end up blowing up and ruining Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it is because you're not extending grace to people because you're so, to use the term selfish or prideful, you're just so... you're just so consumed with what's happening in your life that you don't really care what's happening in their life.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so you're just like, just shut up about whatever your little problem is. I had all of this stuff happen to me. Yeah. And you get into that like competition of like whose life is worse, and it's just, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah. And I've even said to my wife sometimes, when we're interacting with people maybe around the holidays that we don't even see often, it could even be family, that, man, to get into everything that's been going on and to try to track with what's been going on with them is so difficult because you have to recap so much. It's like, oh, I haven't seen you for 6 months or 8 months, or in some cases maybe since last year, depending on if your family lives away. And it's just so much work but that's ultimately selfish. That's ultimately me saying, you know what, this is not what I want to do, and it's not extending grace well to people in my family.
Yeah, and that's something that I feel is just something you have to like learn to adjust in your heart and pray that the Spirit will point out these areas because we can be blind to them. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, poor Aunt Betsy or Uncle.
Who goes with Aunt Betsy? What's the uncle counterpart?
Aunt Betsy and Uncle Fred is in my head.
Uncle Fred, Uncle Bob, Uncle...
I don't know. I have an Uncle Bob.
Oh, yeah. My dad's name is Bob, so I also have an Uncle Bob.
That's interesting.
So we probably shouldn't use
Yeah.
Aunt Betsy and Uncle Fred.
Uncle Fred.
I like that. Let's roll with
You
that.
know, and they mean well to you, and
Right.
you're just like, whatever. I mean, it's so easy to be. And the other thing about the holidays is they are so draining.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone says, "Oh, holidays are great. You get to do all this stuff." And I don't know if it's parenthood or whatever it is that just makes holidays somewhat dreadful. You know, I don't know if you guys experience that, but it's like we have to get the kids ready. We have to do this. We have to send out greeting cards are like one of the most stressful things that we do because it's like who gets them
Yeah, we stopped doing those.
and like
Just stop.
it's like
It's my advice.
if we send one to Aunt Betsy, we have to send one to Aunt Maureen.
Right.
Does anyone
Don't
have an Aunt
for-
Maureen? You know, it's like, and don't forget them. But then like Aunt Jemima over there, the syrup. She's like, well,
Maple syrup, mama.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't get it. I didn't get a card. Like, are you guys mad at me? And it's like,
Right.
no, honestly, like
How
when
come
we
they got a 5x7 photo of the kids and we only got a 4x6?
It's like, well, we moved, we lost addresses. Oh, so like you care about them, and it's just, what do you do? And so they do care, and you think that they care, and so it's just difficult to try to get on track, I think.
Well, and I think that brings out a little bit of the element of the pressure that we can feel around the holidays.
Yeah.
It could be pressure to perform. It could be pressure to live up to somebody else's standards, or how come you didn't do this? And that's a whole nother element that we have to work through. But I think even, for students, for teens, the holidays can tend to be a very selfish time, I guess. You guys as students, oftentimes it's what can I get? We're going
Right.
into whether it's Black Friday, whether it's getting ready for Christmas. Maybe some of you already have all your Christmas shopping done.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
not-
us. We're always like, okay, let's go to Amazon and see
Right.
what we can get. But I want to come back to that maybe in a later episode, just some of that, but not Amazon, but getting
Right.
stuff for Christmas.
Right.
But I do think that that's one of the reasons that we experience the tension that we do, is because it rubs up and grates against what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that one way that we can safeguard against that is by taking a couple of moments, like, and I understand that we're all busy, but we all can find 3 to 5 minutes and just start processing through your head, what's going to be coming up the pike, if you have travel plans, making sure who you're going to be going and seeing, maybe recollect some of the conversations that you've had with them, because that would be a great opportunity. Because if mom says, hey, we're going to see Aunt Betsy and Uncle Fred, and you just like get into this like cold sweat, like why don't I like them, like.
Yeah, or what am I not looking forward to?
Yeah, like why am I not looking forward to that? And maybe start to process that, and maybe that'll present an opportunity for you to say, man, I dislike them, or I don't enjoy being around them because he used to call me a silly nickname whenever I was a kid. Like that's not a good reason to hold a grudge against someone. So
Yeah.
so there's an opportunity for you to extend some grace,
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to treat him differently this year. I'm going to make it a point to be more graceful to him.
That's a great point. And I think that would do us all well to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe even not just around the holidays.
Now that I think of it, yeah, that's kind of a daily thing.
Yeah, maybe I'm just even thinking when I get home from work and when I come home at the end of the day, and even just stopping, when I pull up in the driveway, pull up to the curb and taking a few minutes and just asking the Spirit, help me love my wife well, serve my family, instead of coming home with all kinds of demands and expectations, which I think also, we can go into the holidays with a lot of those same things.
Yeah.
And I think that would cause us to reorient our hearts a little bit, and
Yeah.
and really, why should we extend grace? Why should we serve our families? Why should I love my wife well? That all has to be gospel driven, right? That all has to be because of who God is and what He does. Otherwise, it's just me trying to rack up brownie points and
Yeah.
maybe I get a good Christmas present.
Right. If I'm really nice to people at Thanksgiving, maybe they'll slip a couple extra bucks in my
Yeah.
Christmas card.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all fall victim to. I
Sure.
mean, to a certain level, we all still feel that there is a works
Yeah, we're
based
wired that way.
mentality, where or the karma, where
Yeah.
if I treat someone good, they're gonna automatically treat me good, and then whenever they don't, like we forget that people are sinners.
Yeah, and it's a misplaced expectation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we get mad and we blow up, and then we don't talk to them for
And then we're sinners.
right. Like it's this like never ending
Yeah.
puddle of muck that we get ourselves in, and so it's a struggle, and as you get older, it doesn't necessarily get easier either. I mean, because then you start having like work functions, and already, I mean, we're starting to process. Okay, we have Christmas parties that we need to be going to. We have, now that our oldest son's in school, like he's going to be having things, and leaning in with friends. They're going to be inviting us places. We're going to be inviting them places, and pretty soon these well-intentioned things become things that we just get so irritable over.
Yeah.
It's like, if I have to go to one more Christmas party and so's there.
If I have to wear my ugly sweater one more time.
Exactly. I mean, but how do you get around it?
Yeah. I think it's that heart reorientation. It's that refocus on what is important, what matters, and everybody. Okay, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people actually try to do that around the holidays.
They do.
Like, what really matters, what's really important. But if we're not careful, we'll be quick to replace Jesus with things that are actually less important, and that's what leads us into sin. And so that's what leads us to be mad at Aunt Betsy and Uncle Fred, and that's what leads us to not want to participate in family things. I want to be careful here, and it's not to say that you might be in a tough family situation that is legitimately something you don't want to be
And that's true.
involved in, and we're not saying you just got to suck it up. I think there are some situations in families where some other people need to be made aware of that, and there are some things happening that aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say for the majority of the people that would be listening and watching to this, watching and listening to this, that would not be the case. I think a lot of it's centered around ourselves, and so anytime the focus is on ourselves, we know that we need to reorient that.
Yeah, and along with that too, I mean, we also, and students can get caught up in this. Everyone pretty much can get caught up in this. It's the holiday season. You feel like you need to entertain. Like you feel like your reputation's on the line if you don't throw a good holiday party or Christmas party, if you're allowed to say Christmas.
Or maybe if you're at the good parties.
Or if you're at the good parties, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to so-and-so's, but not, the other person's. And so we can take, we put a lot of weight into that, because I want my reputation, to be strong. And if people come to my house and the hors d'oeuvres aren't, what they expected, or if they're the same as last year, they're going to think, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know anyone who goes to a Christmas party and even remembers what they had last year.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to spell hors d'oeuvres since you said that.
I think there's like an H and an apostrophe.
It totally threw me off train of thought.
I know. Well, I saw them, I think it was at the Young Life banquet.
Was. Yeah, it was.
And they're like, oh, yeah, hors d'oeuvres start at 6:30. And I'm
It
like,
shocks me every time I see that. But
is that French?
I have no idea. Probably.
I have no idea.
Has
They
to
spell
be.
things weird,
Yeah,
I guess.
it has to be.
But yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you get caught up in the entertainment factor. Like, I need to throw the best party, and for a lot of people, like, my house has to be spotless, and
Sure.
we have to clean the windows, and we have to do all this stuff to get ready for this party. And it's like,
Focus is all here.
I'm
on
coming
ourselves.
to interact and be in relation. I don't really care. Like, if there's food, great. If there's not food, like, we can all bring a dish. I mean,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of divvying out some of that responsibility too.
Yeah. And I think there's a pride element with that too.
That pride it just doesn't leave you alone.
Keeps jumping in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if we're not careful, if we're not actively involved in, I think what your advice is great. Just take a couple minutes, think through why am I responding this way? What is causing me to react or even dread, or in some cases look forward to, depending on how our hearts are oriented? What is causing me to do that? And then evaluating that and saying, am I not believing truth somewhere here? That, and we've talked about that in some other podcasts, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a lot more as well. But that we can't be passive in any area of our lives.
And most of the conflict that we come across is because we're holding on to it.
Yep.
So we need to extend that grace, let it go, and I would probably say that your holiday season is going to be a lot better than what it was before.
Yeah. So plan on going into the holidays this year with the mindset of how can I love people well? How can I extend grace when people don't deserve it? Because that's the definition of grace.
Exactly. Awesome. That's
Cool.
a good way to end it there.
I'd say.
We'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.